We'll begin with the City Council prayer. Dear God, today as the session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction to lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Please join me in saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councilor Mercia.
Here.
Mayor Milanazzo.
Here.
Councilor Murphy.
Here.
Councilor Broderick.
Here.
Councilor Caulfield.
Here.
Councilor Dakota. Councilor Elliott.
Here.
Councilor Martin.
Here.
Councilor Mendonça.
Here.
8 present, 1 absent.
Thank you. Before we get into the official business of tonight's agenda, I would just like to recognize a young man in the audience this evening. His name is Zachary Zinringer, and he's here earning his merit badge as a Boy Scout, and I just want to recognize Zachary for being here. Hope you enjoyed the meeting. Thank you. The first order of business this evening, I have a presentation to present to Captain Glenn Godozzo, Jr., United States Army. I actually had the good fortune of meeting with Captain Godozzo in my office back about 3 weeks ago, and we talked about having the City of Lowell vote on a community covenant, which other communities in the Commonwealth have done. And if my colleagues will allow me, I'd like to read the covenant and then bring Captain Godozzo to the microphone, and he can speak on the covenant and introduce the people that are with him this evening. The City of Lowell Community Covenant. We, the Lowell City Council, do hereby recognize the commitment and increasing sacrifices that Massachusetts military service members and their families are making every day, and recognize that the strength of each military member comes from the strength of his or her family, and recognize that the strength of family is supported by the strength of community, and recognize that the strength of community comes from the support of employers, educators, civic and business leaders, and its citizens. Therefore, on behalf of all the residents of the City of Lowell, we commit the City of Lowell community to advocating and building partnerships that support the strength, resilience, and readiness of Massachusetts military service members and their families. We urge all to join us and assist in the implementation of Massachusetts Military Community Covenant, signed this 23rd day of February 2010 by the mayor and the entire members of the Lowell City Council. So I would like to ask one of my colleagues to offer this in the form of a motion.
So
Councilor
moved.
Mercia, seconded by Councilor Elliott. And before we take a vote, I'd like to invite Captain Godozzo, to the microphone. Thank you, Captain.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me and hear us out. I would like to quickly recognize the gentlemen that are with me. This is Sergeant First Class Babb. He is the Lowell Station Commander responsible for the City of Lowell. He has organized an event that was going to be held tomorrow to work with the City of Lowell on how we were going to partner with them. However, that event was canceled due to severe weather and degraded road conditions. And to his right is the civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army for the state of Massachusetts, Mr. Rob Soldner, who is just representing and supporting us on a national Army level. So as you can see, we have a lot of support, and we just thank you for your support as well. Would you like me to speak on the covenant, sir?
Yes, if you could, just
Okay.
that would be great.
First, I would like to thank the City of Lowell for what they've done in terms of reaching out and supporting us and supporting the active duty military, which doesn't really garner a lot of support in the Northeast, especially since we don't have active duty military bases. But we do have a lot of active duty families within the area, so it is truly appreciated. The community covenant is a foundation and the start of a pact between a local city, being Lowell, and the active duty military, in which the local city supports active duty family members and active duty troops in their service to their country. But the military is also reaching out to the city in terms of supporting the city in its local ventures. We've already begun to do that. We've partnered with Lowell High School And we've done a faculty presentation in the morning where we brought breakfast in and we did a presentation to the faculty members and just spoke about multiple programs that the Army specifically has for seniors in terms of academic achievement, money for colleges, and other various programs that we have. Specifically, we talked about standardized test improvement. That was a pretty key area. And then we also partnered with the athletic director, and we did a recognition of winning games, football games, basketball games, also known as the U.S. Army Tailgate Tour, which is where we go out and we present a game ball to the most valuable player, and we present a jersey, and we did it at the Thanksgiving Day football game, and we also did it versus Drake It, so we pick local rivalries where we recognize the teams. We're also working with the school department to do a fundraiser, excuse me, to do a fundraiser in which all proceeds, whether it's a flag football tournament or a 3-on-3 basketball tournament, and all proceeds from entry fees and concessions will be donated towards the school to be used, whether within their athletic department or however the school committee chooses to use that fundraiser money. We also have done several community events, such as we've done food drives for Thanksgiving, and we did Toys for Tots for Christmas. We've done Coats for Kids, and we've also done Haiti relief, all within the local area, partnering with your local organizations. And the bottom line of what we're trying to do is work with your city in terms of whether it's the education department or local organizations, and best ways that we can help to support ventures that you have within your city. And it's a mutual partnership between the active duty military and the city.
Great. Thank you, Captain. Does anyone have any questions of the captain? Hearing none, we do have a motion that has been seconded. It's on the floor. Could I ask the clerk to call the roll, please?
Counselor Mercia.
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo.
Yes.
Counselor Murphy.
Yes.
Counselor Broderick.
Yes.
Counselor Caulfield.
Yes.
Counselor Dakota. Counselor Elliott.
Yes.
Counselor Martin.
Yes.
Counselor Mendonça.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Chair recognizes Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Captain Cardozo was thanking the city of Lowell and the people of this great city. And Captain, this entire council, the city, the state, and the country want to thank you and your colleagues for your service to your country and so proudly wearing that uniform. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's
Very
truly
well
appreciated.
said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for being here.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Thank you. Moving on with the agenda, the next item is to accept the minutes of the February 9th meeting. Motion by Councilor Murphy, seconded by Councilor Mendonça. All those in favor of accepting the motions, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed? It's approved. Under unfinished business, accepting the provisions of Mass General Law, Section 18A, Chapter 32B. Should I read again? Vote accepting, in City Council, vote accepting the provisions of Section 18A of Chapter 32B of the Massachusetts General Laws regarding a Medicare extension plan. What's the wish of the council? Move approval by
Move
Councilor
approval.
Martin, seconded by Councilor Mercia. Any further discussion on the vote? Roll call.
Counselor Mercia.
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo.
Yes.
Counselor Murphy.
Yes.
Counselor Broderick.
Yes.
Counselor Caulfield.
Yes.
Counselor Dakota. Counselor Elliott.
Yes.
Counselor Martin.
Yes.
Counselor Mendonça.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Under the city manager portion of the agenda, communication from manager, responses to council motions and requests. Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 2 weeks ago, Councilor Caulfield asked for an opinion or clarification of speaking out before a public hearing is decided, and I did get that response, and I want to reiterate and say word for word that legislators may discuss opposition or support for a matter which only involves governmental policy at any time in the process, whether it is before a public hearing or not. For example, an ordinance to regulate traffic, to create a position, to establish or amend a fee is purely a matter of governmental policy. Such activity does not adjudicate the right or privilege of a particular person or involve the business or property of a particular named person. It is merely a decision relating to a governmental policy matter. Consequently, the discussion of one's opposition or support to such a pending ordinance is permissible. I didn't do anything wrong, and I wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mercia. While we're on that subject, if my colleagues don't mind, if I just have a comment from the chair.
Yes.
In the report that Councilor Mercia refers to, the solicitor does suggest, if I could just read the last sentence, regardless of whether the hearing is judicial or legislative in nature, the party requesting the public hearing, be it the manager or a petitioner, may and arguably should speak and present on the underlying matter prior to opening the hearing to public debate. That being said, that being the opinion of the solicitor, we do have a public hearing tonight, so if it's okay with my colleagues, what we'll probably do before we actually open the public hearing for those in favor and those against, I would look to the manager for a report as to what exactly is coming before the city council. So I just want to clarify that point, since that was part of the opinion from the solicitor. Does anybody have any questions or want to question the solicitor at this point? Okay, hearing none. Any other comments regarding motions, responses? Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank Manager Lynch for forwarding my motion to Ms. Leavenworth about the speed sign, but also there was another motion about the huge dip at the Beaverbrook Bridge. That's even worse than the speeding. Someone's going to lose a front end right there, so.
Mr. Manager?
If I may, Counselor, and I apologize that we didn't get a written response to you on that, but the
That's
city
okay, as long
engineer.
as you forward it.
No, but the city engineer actually has advised me that work is scheduled to do something about that, and we'll get you, just to close the loop on that, we'll get you something on
Thank
that
you.
as well.
Councilor Mendonça.
Yes, I had a couple of responses to my motions that I'd like to address. One of them being the state-owned properties in the city, and I appreciate the speedy response. This was pretty quick, and it does list quite a number of properties. However, in reviewing the list, I found that it's missed some recent changes, and that being the hotel, I guess, didn't move up to being owner. It's co-owned for the moment, I think, until the fiscal year is over. So that's a substantial asset, the arena being another. And we can see that it's a very large number, not only in value, but also in the tax revenue that might be produced. I do appreciate the report. My intent, I think, with moving forward with this would be to, after maybe making the adjustments for the things that were missed, to package it up to send to our state delegation. Not that I ever expect they'll send us $7 million. That's not the case. We'll be lucky to get another 50,000. But that they maybe at least look at whatever formula is being used to determine what each municipality gets, and that it be adjusted if necessary to reflect recent changes, because they're very significant in value in those two land parcels that are being changed over. I believe they purchased the hotel for like $14 million. We had it valued at $7 million. For some reason, on the GIS system, it's down to $2 million, which is barely the land value. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but that's what I'm seeing from the external going into GIS. And so what I would maybe ask my colleagues to do at this time is to, I'd have a motion that refer this to the manager to turn it into a form that we can send this information to our state delegation to have them review the formulas for our state-owned land and make sure that we're getting our fair share.
We have a motion by Councilor Mendonça to refer the report to I request the manager refer the report to the state delegation, seconded by Councilor Mercia. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Anything else, Councilor Mendonça?
Yes, my other motion was regarding keeping animals on properties in Lowell, and we got again, a quick response from the city solicitor. And I would like, well, basically it's determined that, as I suspected, it's true that under the current ordinance, you can't keep it, but there could be a way that we might change the ordinances so that it could be permissible. And so I'd like to follow the solicitor's recommendation and forward this to a zoning subcommittee so that we can hear from the people that might be involved in this, and then maybe, if we feel it appropriate, to move forward to craft a method so that those who want to can be permitted or licensed to keep the animals, again, once the conditions that could be drafted are met. So I'd like to make the motion to refer this to the zoning subcommittee.
Second by Councilor Mercia. Any discussion on referring this matter to the zoning subcommittee? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Anything else on the communications? Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Manager, we received a communication from you regarding iShop Lowell 2010 initiative. Could you explain a little bit to the people at home? And is it the city that's paying for, if you spend $25, is it the city that's paying for the iPods and a season pass at the Lowell summer music series? And I'm going to presume as well as it does indicate advertising costs.
Right. This is an effort that, in working with our downtown businesses, the sense was that we wanted to do something that would help us get people shopping in the downtown area during the more quiet time of the year, after the holidays, but before the summer season. And the idea here was to essentially have people enter into the essentially a drawing. If they spent more than $25 in a downtown area, that they would be able to enter into a weekly drawing, and then from that they would be eligible to win a iPod Touch. And then at the end of it all, there'd be all of the entries would be put in to obtain an Apple iPad. We have 25 businesses that have signed up. Many are offering their own incentives that go with this. And so far it's met with a great deal of excitement of the downtown businesses. They're very, to them, this is an example of working jointly with the city in a cooperative way, and we think it'll be a real success for us to do that. We're also putting in place another program, again, to assist with the businesses down there, helping them with essentially a mystery shopper type of program, which has proven successful in other places, where we can give feedback to the businesses on what someone who is just seen as an ordinary shopper actually sees in the downtown businesses, areas for improvement or areas that they do particularly well at that could be replicated in other establishments. I believe the funding for this is a combination of some private funds as well as utilizing some of our marketing money.
Okay, so how much are we spending on this campaign?
I think
and if you don't know tonight, that's fine. If you
I think it has to be just about $1,500.
$1,500,
roughly.
Okay. No, it's a good idea to get. As you mentioned, there's a lull after the Christmas season. I'm sure businesses are looking for foot traffic, so it makes some sense. Thank you.
Right. And I certainly encourage all of us to shop in the downtown businesses, except just for none of us are eligible to receive this.
So there's a weekly drawing. Is it going to be announced? How would it be announced so people...
There's already been some publicity that's put out on it. There's going to be some additional press coverage on this, and the first drawing, I believe, is March 5th.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Murphy?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, a buy local initiative to really, trigger some greater multiplier effects within the local and regional economies. I guess my question would be, why just the downtown? Why not look at the other neighborhoods where there also have restaurants and shops and that sort of thing?
I think that's a very good point. I know that we were working on this with the Downtown Business Association or Downtown Business Group, but I think it's something that we should explore to branch out. And I'll take that back to the people involved in that and see how we can expand that.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, I had raised a motion last month about, trying to extend some of these city programs into the neighborhoods to produce some greater development there. And so I think we need to continually be cognizant of that. And that isn't to say that, we reduce spending on the downtown or we reduce a focus on the downtown, but that we extend it to the neighborhoods, because that will be an important part of how we achieve a balanced kind of economic growth throughout the city.
I agree completely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on, Council Broderick?
Thank you. A different issue. I just wanted to thank, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the manager, the response to my motion on Tanner Street. Timely response, and unfortunately, the recommendation is to hold off for a few years to see further progress on the Hamilton Canal, and hopefully, I assume we must be coming up close to closure on the acre plan?
Correct. We're coming up to closure on that, and even on the Hamilton Canal, we're saying, I think what the thrust of what we're saying is that we should move forward with a continued planning out there so that that becomes the project that's ready to go towards the end of the Hamilton Canal on the JAM project, but which is timely because the remediation of the hazardous conditions at some of those sites will be cleared up towards the end of that period. So the timing is perfect. We need to be able to, I think your motion is on this, as well as your earlier motion is a good one, and one that the administration fully supports, but we need to move forward on the planning so that it's ready to go when we're, similar to the JAM area, the planning on that actually began, a decade ago, so that could be in place now in 2010.
Right. Well, then to follow up with that, and that's the thinking I had in mind when I brought this forward is what would be a timeline, a reasonable timeline, or aggressive, whatever might work for us. We tend to be aggressive here in Lowell, in terms of planning in the background to get an idea of what might make sense there and what's going to garner support in the community, so that we can then take build the foundation to be ready. I mean, we certainly don't want this wouldn't, if we started tomorrow, wouldn't be competing probably for funds in the JAM plan, because it just would take too long to get there. But we certainly wouldn't want to do that anyway. We want to maximize what we have going on. This would be something to start in its infancy now, but to prepare to be the next go-to development in the city. With that in mind, I'm not asking for it tonight, Mr. Manager, because you probably have Mr. Bacon, DPD, go maybe do give you some information on this. But what would be a timeline, a natural progression for this, to try to plan it out so that we're ready in 2 or 3 years to go the next step? And I assume it's going to be a planning step and a planning step and more of a planning step before we get to looking for funds. Maybe there'll be grants available to help with some studies. And as we see and try and develop and carve out what that piece is going to be, the Tanner Street development, what is it going to be? Is it going to be just Tanner Street? Is it going to be Silresum? Is it going to be more than that? I think that I'm interested anyway in finding out what we envision that to be, and maybe to have some input and maybe just kind of put it on the in the back burner, but on the radar screen in terms of being able to progress with this development, so that in 3 or 4 or 5 years we actually have something ready to go on the next step if we're ready.
Okay. Why don't we get you additional information on that? We'll do a follow-up to that motion.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. This is an excellent topic and an issue, and much praise should go to Congresswoman Nikki Songus for bringing in $8 to $20 million for the cleanup of Silresum, Phase 4, and I believe Nobis Engineering might be involved with that, along with Watermark. They are the key to whatever happens at Tanner Street, and if we can get rid of the Silresum hazardous waste, Tanner Street is a diamond in the rough, and this is a good issue that Councilor Broderick has brought forward.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Councilor Murphy?
Yes, I also appreciate Councilor Broderick bringing this forward. It is a neighborhood, an area where there have been quite a few environmental justice concerns there, and we did have a report back in 2002. I would just request that we be provided with the rest of that report. I think we only got the first 3 pages, but I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on communication from the manager? Councilor Elliott?
Just briefly, this is a response actually to Councilman Danza's motion last week in response to an email we got from a woman in Pawtuckaville that was interested in horses. And according to this, no animals in the city, well, I guess with the exception of cats and dogs, are allowed to be stored with the
And
exception
pigeons.
with the exception of pigeons. And this was it was adopted in 1988. And I guess this is good to bring up because I know there seems to be a growing issue of people wanting to raise chickens in other communities. So cats and dogs and pigeons is all that's. Do we have any idea, Madam Solicitor, why pigeons?
Yeah,
Carrier pigeons?
yes, homing pigeons.
I mean, there's a citation that says you can, like, racing pigeons and fancying pigeon. It's rather an elaborate
It is a rather elaborate
ordinance.
exception to it. It was, my understanding, it was just that there were a significant group of people
Yes.
who were very, very interested in raising and keeping these
That's right.
fancy pigeons.
Okay.
And there were numerous subcommittee meetings on
Yes,
it,
there
and
was.
it was really quite a project.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Chair recognizes Councilor Mercia.
Former Councilor Eileen Donahue and I diligently purviewed every area in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts because there were people that were very avid pigeon enthusiasts, homing pigeons, carrier pigeons, and we diligently worked laborious many hours trying to put that together. So, yeah, I remember it was our very first project together. It was unbelievable.
Thank you. That was
Should have
referred to the
included
zoning
horses at
subcommittee,
the time,
correct?
but-
Yes, that was referred to the zoning subcommittee for further action. Any other discussion on
Thank you.
communications?
Sorry about that.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the communications placed on file by Councilor Mendonça, seconded by Councilor Caulfield. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Thank you. Public hearing time. In City Council loan order, streetlight acquisition bonds to borrow $400,000 to pay the cost of acquiring streetlights, poles, and all other equipment incidental to the operation of streetlights within the City of Lowell from Massachusetts Electric, and for the payment of any other costs incidental and related thereto. Before I open the public hearing, I'd like to recognize Manager Lynch to give a brief presentation on what the loan order is about. Manager Lynch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will be very brief on this. I think the memorandum that was provided to the council really spells out what this is intended to do. Just by way of history, and I think I gave a little bit of history on this once before when we talked about it, one of the results of the Energy Deregulation Act here in the Commonwealth was to make it easier for communities to actually acquire streetlights as opposed to leasing them from National Grid. Even up until the time of the deregulation, it was possible, but the cost effectiveness really didn't make sense. So they made some modifications to that. They changed the rates that the National Grid or the utilities could charge, and a number of communities have moved forward to actually exercise their rights, purchase the streetlights, paying off the amount that was due to National Grid, and then be responsible for the actual maintenance of those lights. In our particular case, we've looked at it and we've identified that if we were to do that now and with this loan order, in paying off that loan over a period of 5 years, for the next 5 years, we would see a savings of $255,000, and that includes that's based upon the cost of acquisition and the cost of some small amount of lost tax revenue that we get from the lights themselves, and then the actual cost of maintaining the lights. Even after all of that, it would still produce that $255,000 savings, which after the the bonds had been paid off, that number would go up to $321,000. So this is really a win for the city if we move forward with this. I should also point out that as part of this process, we also think that we can make some changes in some of the streetlights that are out there, moving them from to more energy efficient and less costly types of lights, moving away from the mercury vapor, for instance, and moving to the sodium sodium vapor that will again save us money in the long run. So I do have experience with this, having implemented a similar program in Chelmsford. I think that I think if you contact any of the communities that have done this, they will tell you that it's been a real success for them, and I would certainly urge the council to adopt this loan order.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. At this point, I'd like to open up the public hearing for those wishing to speak in favor. In favor, please state your name and address, please.
Mr. Mayor, members of the Lowell City Council, Mr. Manager, ladies and gentlemen. For the record, my name is Mark Goldman, 58 Oakland Street, Lowell, Mass. I wish to be recorded in this, in favor of this. It is a win-win situation for the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Goldman. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? In favor, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition, hearing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. What's the wish of the council? Council Caulfield.
Thank you very much. I am definitely going to support this. I have called the various communities, Chelmsford, Stoughton, Newton, Arlington, Chelsea, Weston, and Dedham. Everyone I have spoken to, whether they're a town administrator, a mayor, or the DPW commissioner, they have indicated to me that those communities are saving money. And this is what this government's all about, innovative ways of saving money. So I would recommend to this full body to endorse this, because what it also does is you have a private contractor. I believe it's Republic, ITS, who these other communities have. Instead of a street light being out for 6 months, or it's blinking off and on, and you're waiting for National Grid to put a new bulb in it, those troublesome days are over, Mr. Mayor. You have your private contractor to make sure all the lighting in the city is working properly, and the electricity you're paying for is illuminating that street light. So this is a good program, Mr. Manager, and I endorse it wholeheartedly.
Thank you, Council Caulfield. Anyone else wishing to speak? I'd like to entertain a motion to approve by Council Broderick, seconded by Council Elliott. Roll call, please.
Councilor Mercia?
Yes.
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 Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça?
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Getting back to the city manager's agenda. In City Council order pursuant to Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, concerning Section 266-6 thereof, entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations, temporary traffic regulations are hereby implemented for a period of 60 days. Whereas the City of Lowell desires to make temporary rules regulating traffic under actual conditions for a period of 60 days, and whereas Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinance, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, Section 266-6 thereof, entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations, authorizes the City Council to make such temporary rules for a period not to exceed 60 days. Now therefore be it ordered, adjudged, and decreed by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows. Effective immediately for a period of 60 days thereafter, the following temporary traffic regulations shall be implemented. Section 266-55, parking for handicapped persons, is hereby amended by adding the following. 1010 Central Street, also known as Davis Terrace 4, southeast side, beginning at a point 85 feet southwest of southwestern curb line of Prospect Street, running southwest a distance of 20 feet along Central Street. Second reading by title. Order in City Council pursuant to Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinance, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, concerning Section 266-6 thereof, entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations, temporary traffic regulations are hereby implemented for a period of 60 days. The wish of the council.
Move for approval.
Move approval by Council Caulfield, seconded by Council Martin. Roll call.
Councilor Mercia?
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Murphy.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota. Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Mendoza.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. In City Council vote, authorizing the city manager on behalf of the city of Lowell to accept a gift in an amount of up to $15,000 from the University of Massachusetts Lowell for costs associated with materials and labor to update the city's gateway signage system to accommodate the new ownership of the Sanger Center. Whereas the University of Massachusetts Lowell desires to donate up to $15,000 for costs associated with materials and labor to update the city's signage system to accommodate the new ownership of the Sanger Center in the city of Lowell, and whereas the city of Lowell desires to accept the gift of said funds, now therefore be it voted that the city manager be and he is hereby authorized in the name of the city of Lowell to accept a gift from the University of Massachusetts Lowell in the amount of $15,000 pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53A. Be it further voted that we, the members of the City Council of the City of Lowell, jointly and severally, do hereby commend and officially extend the gratitude of the City of Lowell to the University of Massachusetts Lowell for the generosity displayed through the donation of aforesaid funds to the City of Lowell. Second reading by title. In City Council vote, authorizing the city manager on behalf of the City of Lowell to accept a gift in an amount of up to $15,000 from the University of Massachusetts Lowell for costs associated with materials and labor to update the city's gateway signage system to accommodate the new ownership of the Sanger Center. What's the wish of the council?
Move approval.
Move approval by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Caulfield. Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Murphy.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota. Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Mendoza.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. In City Council vote, authorizing the city manager enter into a license agreement with Trinity Appleton 4 Limited Partnership, a domestic limited partnership hereinafter called Licensee, with principal offices at 40 Court Street, Suite 800, Boston, Mass. 02108, and Trinity Appleton Limited Partnership, a domestic limited partnership hereinafter called Licensee, with principal offices at 40 Court Street, Suite 800, Boston, Mass. 02108, for use of City of Lowell property, to wit, at 290 1.1 Jackson Street, commonly referred to as the Frudenberg Building, for various construction-related activities, including storage of materials and equipment associated with the redevelopment of the Appleton Mills property. Be it voted by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows: that the city manager is hereby authorized to enter into a license agreement with Trinity Appleton 4 Limited Partnership, a domestic limited partnership hereinafter called Licensee, with principal offices at 40 Court Street, Suite 800, Boston, Mass., and Trinity Appleton Limited Partnership, a domestic limited partnership hereinafter called Licensee, with principal offices at 40 Court Street, Suite 800, Boston, Mass., for use of City of Lowell property, to wit, at 291.1 Jackson Street, commonly referred to as the Frudenberg Building, for various construction-related activities, including storage of materials and equipment associated with the redevelopment of the Appleton Mills property. Second reading by title. In City Council vote, authorizing the city manager to enter into a license agreement with Trinity Appleton 4 Limited Partnership, a domestic limited partnership hereinafter called Licensee, with principal offices at 40 Court Street, Suite Boston, Mass., and Trinity Appleton Limited Partnership, a domestic limited partnership hereinafter called Licensee, with principal offices at 40 Court Street, Suite 800, Boston, Mass., for use of City of Lowell property, to wit, at 291.1 Jackson Street, commonly referred to as the Frudenberg Building, for various construction-related activities, including storage of materials and equipment associated with the redevelopment of the Appleton Mills property. What's the wish of the council? Move approval by Council Caulfield, second by Council Broderick. Any discussion? Councilman Mendoza?
Through the mayor to the manager. In reading through this, I was just wondering what the benefit to the city would be of doing this, and that we're licensing the property, but there's no remuneration per se to the city. So I was just wondering.
I'll ask Assistant Manager Bakey to speak to that issue directly.
Sure. The simple answer is that Trinity Financial will be assuming all responsibility to maintain the building, including windows, doors, and so forth. So if there's broken windows and things on the building, our Lands and Buildings team no longer needs to go out there and deal with boarding them up or replacing them. In fact, Trinity will now have that responsibility. And the work that Trinity will be doing in the building is basically storage. So the benefit they're deriving from it is not really worth a whole lot more than providing us with that maintenance.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Mercia.
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo.
Yes.
Counselor Murphy.
Yes.
Counselor Broderick.
Yes.
Counselor Caulfield.
Yes.
Counselor Dakota. Counselor Elliott.
Yes.
Counselor Martin.
Yes.
Counselor Mendonça.
No.
7 yeas, 1 nay, 1 absent.
Thank you. Vote in City Council order to pay costs regarding demolition of the building at 401 Bridge Street, which was burned and destroyed by a fire on February 11, 2010. Protection of a public safety necessitates the immediate emergency demolition of said property. Ordered by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows, that the amount of $70,000 be transferred from Sale of Property Other Fund 1701 to Demolition of Buildings Fund 1106. Ordered, recommended, introduced by Bernard F. Lynch, City Manager. Second reading by title. Vote in City Council order to pay costs regarding demolition of the building at 401 Bridge Street, which was burned and destroyed by a fire on February 11, 2010. Protection of public safety necessitates the immediate emergency demolition of said property. It's the wish of the council. Council Caulfield?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. First of all, Chris Natale is one of the outstanding landlords in our city, and I feel his heartache, and so doesn't the entire neighborhood in Centerville, losing that historic building. I called David St. Hilaire Wednesday morning and asked him the status on the building, and he said it was deplorable, unsafe, and has to be demolished. So I immediately filed a motion with the clerk to have the city expedite the demolition of said building. And reading the paper, I believe it was either Thursday or Friday, I saw the huge backhoe demolishing the building. I said, wow, that motion worked fast. But I'm happy that the building is down, Mr. Manager. Has there been a lien put on the property?
Yes, there has been a lien put on the property, and the reason we moved so quickly, as you've pointed out, Counselor, was that the building was, we have burned out buildings in the city that I know we often cause quite a bit of heartache here in the city council chamber and for the administration, and they're an eyesore, they're a nuisance, but they don't quite reach the level of being a public safety hazard as this one did. This one is reminiscent of a similar fire that we had in the Acre back in 1999. There was a church that burned that, again, there was a decision made that we needed to take that down as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, Mr. Natale did not have any insurance on the property.
No fire insurance?
No. So it was necessary for us to, we couldn't rely upon him to be able to do that, so, and wait for that all to be resolved. So we had to take it down ourselves and place a lien on the property.
Well, I know that the piece of property is certainly worth more than $70,000 for someone who wants to develop it, so I have no fear of the city retaining their money back. But I was kind of, there was a burnt-out building on Westford Street for 2 years, and I think once a month, Mr. Manager, I just haunted you to death. Please get that building down. And I just hope, I'm very happy that this building is down, because I talked to some police officers, and I believe there was a police detail around the clock.
Right.
The front of the building was wavering, and it was not only an eyesore, but extremely dangerous. But whenever we have a burnt-out building, I hope we don't ever have another one. But throughout the city, I hope we act just as fast on those burnt-out buildings as we did on the one on Bridge Street. And when I read the paper that the building was being demolished, I said, why didn't someone from City Hall, at least a courtesy call, say we're taking the building down? And I don't know if any other councils received that call, but I didn't. So I don't want to make an issue out of it, but I'm happy it's down, and it would have been an eyesore and a danger to life and limb, and hopefully Mr. Natale can develop that piece of land and that piece of property, but no fire insurance? Okay, that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Manager Lynch?
If I could just respond in response to the councilor with regards to the building on Westford Street. I think you did, I wouldn't say you haunted me, but But you certainly raised that on a number of occasions. I know it was there before I became city manager, and it was an issue that was of concern to you and to the council and to the neighborhood. And I think the biggest issue that we faced on that is, again, it didn't quite reach the level of being a public safety hazard, which made our case a little bit more difficult in terms of acting to do something about it. And the other issue, as you may recall, is we didn't have a source of funding. We then came forward with a plan that the council adopted to set up a revolving fund for the demolition of buildings, and we were able to fund that through the sale of real estate. So we now have a mechanism in place that we can utilize, so I can't promise that every burnt-out building, and hopefully I agree with you that we'll never see another burnt-out building in the city, but recognizing that there is that possibility, we won't necessarily be able to move as quickly, but we certainly, I agree that the buildings in this city that have been needed to be demolished have not been demolished as quickly as they should have been. And we're working very hard to make sure that it is no longer the standard, that we will move quickly and to get things done.
And I know, Mr. Manager, and you realize, and the council realizes as well, everyone in City Hall does, that as long as that burnt-out building stands there, it just brings a tremendous negative to the entire city, not just that particular neighborhood. I understand why this building had to be demolished so quickly. Where are we getting the money from, Mr. Manager? We're transferring some money?
This is going into the revolving fund, the fund that I just described for the demolition of buildings, and the money is coming from the sale of real estate. We have another fund that is reserved for appropriation for the sale of real estates.
What was the total cost of demolition?
$92,000.
$92,000.
Right, so there's $22,000 in that account, so we're transferring into $70,000, and a lien is being placed on the property. Currently the property has an assessed value, I believe, of $115,000, but that, of course, is the assessed value from a year ago.
So there should be a lien of $92,000 on that parcel of land?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Chair would entertain a motion to approve the appropriation transfer by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Martin. Roll call.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Murphy.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota. Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Last item under City Manager, in City Council resolution. A resolution to amend the cooperation agreement dated May 8th, 1950, as amended between the Lowell Housing Authority and the City of Lowell, which amendment increases the number of low-rent housing units covered thereby by 57 units, whereas it is the policy of the City of Lowell to eliminate the substandard and other inadequate housing to prevent the spread of slums and blight, and to realize as soon as feasible the goal of decent home and suitable living environment for all of its citizens, and whereas under the provisions of the United States Housing Act of 1937 as amended, hereinafter called the Act, the United States of America Department of Housing and Urban Development is authorized to provide financial assistance to local public housing agencies for undertaking and carrying out preliminary planning of low-rent housing projects that will assist in meeting this goal. And whereas the Act provides that there be a local determination of need for low-rent housing to meet needs not being adequately met by private enterprise, and that the government shall not make any contract with a public housing agency for preliminary loans for surveys and planning in respect to any low-rent housing projects under the governing body of the locality involved, has by resolution approved the application of the public housing agency for such preliminary loan. Motion by Councilor Caulfield, seconded by Councilor Mendonça to waive the full reading. All those in favor of waiving the full reading signify by saying aye. Vote, thank you. Second reading by title, in City Council resolution, a resolution to amend the cooperation agreement dated May 8, 1950, as amended between the Lowell Housing Authority and the City of Lowell, which amendment increases the number of low-rent housing units covered thereby by 57 units. We do have Mr. Wallace, Executive Director of the Lowell Housing Authority, with us this evening if anyone has any questions specifically regarding this resolution. If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the resolution as presented by Councilor Rita Mercia, seconded by Councilor Broderick. Any further discussion on the resolution? Roll call.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Murphy.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota. Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Martin. Councilor Mendonça.
Yes.
7 yeas, 2 absent.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wallace. for being here. Thank you. Subcommittee reports. Chair recognizes Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Finance Subcommittee met earlier this evening, right before the City Council meeting, to discuss a number of reports that the City Auditor had forwarded, as well as the City Manager, Mr. Moses. And we also discussed a report on the school unemployment costs for the transfer that took place prior to the end of the year. Recap of the meeting, essentially, Mr. Moses touched on a couple of items of concern that he highlighted in his report dated January 26th. Essentially, Lowell's levy, our tax collections are coming in, we're at about 46%, which, as he indicated at first look, it looks to be weak, but there's a couple of factors that apply. First, quarterly bills are based on the 2009 levy, which was lower than the 2010 levy. He continued to discuss local receipts and excise, lagged a little bit, but we're hoping that they will pick up. Expenditures naturally are very tight. We're about 50% after this report through the fiscal year, and we spend about 49.6 of wage accounts, and then about 47% on other expense accounts. We touched on the wastewater enterprise fund that assumes a $2.3 million deficit, essentially in large part because of principal and interest that are coming on for CSO work. We spoke of the enterprise fund. There's currently an audit, and I did have one question, Mr. Moses. You did speak of an audit to close out before we transfer the property. Is the enterprise, I'm presuming the enterprise fund is going to be paying for that audit, and how much is that, the cost of that audit? We're sharing the cost with the university, I'm sorry.
Right, we're splitting it 50-50, and we don't have a figure yet, but their annual audit is only a couple of $1,000s anyway.
Okay. Thank you. And parking enterprise fund has a surplus, as we spoke of, but coming into the next couple of fiscal years, it'll be running a deficit. Water enterprise fund has a balance of $113,000. So that was there was discussion surrounding these issues. We also spoke of the 2011 budget with the report from the state senator in the newspaper today of local revenues. The manager in his office continues to look at expenses and spend only on an as-needed basis. We also, another item, we did speak of the unemployment report that came through. The manager has met with the school department to track workers' comp a little bit more or more closely. I know that you have been tracking workers' comp cases. There doesn't seem to be a significant increase, but the law department has a system in place to better monitor those costs. Unemployment costs, we did discuss the fact that May 15th is a deadline where we have to send out notices to all those that may be laid off, and that is a contractual item that is bargained with all of the all of the unions. Excuse me. Lastly, we did speak of the meals tax. At this point, the manager does not have a proposal to I guess to present it or not to present it, but he will bring it in prior to the budget. And there was lastly, the motion was made. On the original motion on the meals tax, a letter that was sent to the city from the town of Methuen asking for any information or whether we adopted the meals tax. So the motion was made by Councilman Mendonça, seconded by Councilman Broderick, to respond to the letter that at this point we don't have any information and we have not adopted the local meals tax. That's a report of progress, Mr. Mayor. I know it's a brief recap, but I thought it was a very productive meeting, and a lot of information was shared. And I want to thank the manager and Mr. Moses and the city auditor for the reports that they produce. I think they're very helpful as we continue to watch the city's budget going forward into the next fiscal year and the impact that all of these issues have on the city budget. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Elliott. Councilor Caulfield?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It was an excellent meeting, and it was a question and answer period. Everything from the cost of snow and ice removal to meals tax to the school budget and so forth. But I neglected to ask a question. I'll just pose it, and the manager can come back later on. I believe there's $7.5 million owed in back taxes in that vicinity. I think there's $4 million in commercial and $3.5 million in residential. We did have an employee, John McKenna, who worked tirelessly on this issue. Do we have anyone working on this now?
Yes, actually, we do. The law department is handling that, and we're using other means to do that. And actually, we'll get you a report on that, Council. How's that? Because actually, the numbers for this year, the last time I checked them, actually showed a decrease in the amount of taxes owed to us. We actually, since July 1st, we have actually stepped up our overall collections and have actually made progress on those.
I can remember maybe 5, 6 years ago, there was about $11.5 million that was owed to the city. And it's come down drastically, but I'd just like to,
We'll get you a report on that.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments on the report? Councilor Elliott?
I just wanted to follow up on that, Mayor. I think that's a good point. I know during these times, times are tough and some businesses are just trying to survive, but that $7 million, what percentage does that represent? I mean, I looked at the levy here and $100 million. Does that represent 7%? Doing some simple math?
No, because it covers many, many years. And
including penalties and interest would be folded into that $7 million?
is that we'll have to check on that for you, Councilor. But, and again, I don't have a historical number, as the Councilor Caulfield just indicated. The vast majority of the $7.5 million cases that are properties that people have either, disappeared, and it's really just tracking all those down. As I say, we have been handling it in-house with the law department. The other means of doing this is the state law allows us to utilize outside services and then bill those, the people for the costs associated with collecting that money. That if you do it in-house, you're not able to do that. So that's another means that we're utilizing to collect that money. And I should point out that Councilor Broderick has actually had several motions on this that over the last few months requesting this information. We provided a very extensive report to the council back in the fall, and Councilor Broderick also brought forward a motion that we're working on right now to sell off, looking at selling off to a third party a number of our tax title properties, so that they would then have the ability to go after these people. We would be made whole.
Are we pursuing that contractor in addition to selling off to third party, to go and do this collecting for us?
Yes, we're utilizing. We have a couple properties that we're already working on with an outside firm to do that. And then we're also identifying the properties that we would look to sell to that third party.
Okay, and sort of along the same lines, I know this is...
And if I may just for a second, what we'll do too is we'll get that full report that we did for the council before. Not much has changed because it was late. It was during the fall, so not much has changed with that. But we'll get that to the council again as well.
Do foreclosures? I know I read a report or an article on the number of foreclosures in the city. Does that have any impact or any bearing on tax collection, or when they're foreclosed on, do the banks or mortgage companies pay the taxes?
Actually, it's one of those things where we actually benefit the city benefits financially from the foreclosures because usually a bank, when they foreclose on a property owner, pay off the back taxes because that lien makes the property not saleable. They can't get it out of their portfolio. Recognizing that there's a cost to society and to the person who actually owns the home, it's not all good, but financially, the city benefits.
Thank you.
Likewise, again, we don't like having taxes out there that we don't get paid for. That $7.5 million or $7 million number is there. We also receive 14 to 16% interest on that money. So from a cash flow perspective, we're okay. We still aggressively go after those taxes, but while it's out there and not being paid, we're gaining 14 to 16% interest on that debt that's owed to us. Not quite a credit card interest rate, but not bad.
Accept the Finance Subcommittee report as a report of progress by Council Medonta, seconded by Council Broderick. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, to vote. Any other subcommittee reports? Hearing none. Wire Inspector, National Grid, one pole on Dutton Street and conduit on Charles Street. Accept the report and adopt accompanying orders. Refer to the Wire Inspector by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Martin. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, to vote. We have one petition claim, property damage, refer to the Law Department by Councilor Caulfield, seconded by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, to vote. Under motions, first motion, Councilor Mercia. City Council requests the city manager to take the necessary action to place a no parking tow sign in front of 36 Iowa Street, seconded by Councilor Caulfield. I believe there's someone registered to speak on this motion.
Nancy Ford's 36 Iowa Street.
Welcome.
This is a small street, a small dead-end street. There's 5 houses on it. And within the past few years, the parking has become a severe problem. There's one house that has 4 apartments in it, but on the weekends, we have counted at least 30 cars on both sides of the street, double parked, and right in front of our property. We can't get out of our driveway. My husband is a maintenance person at a nursing home. He's on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and he can't respond to the calls because he can't even get out of his own driveway. And I'm asking you to pass this for us, to have this sign put up, no parking, tow zone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Councilor Mercia.
Thank you,
maker of the
Mr.
motion.
Mayor. Some years ago, that sign was up in front of 36 Iowa Street. And about a year ago, a city plow came by and hit it in such a way that it came down. And so the city came back and put it up and put it across the street on a telephone pole. Having been on that side of the street, people would not park on that side of the street. They'd park in front of her house, block the driveway, and this, that, and the other. So we thought it was simply a call to make to see if we could get that sign put across the street where it was knocked down in front of 36 Iowa Street. Well, the sign shop, not just a sign shop, but Jeff Gomes could not do that because there was never an order to have that happen in the first place. So you can't do something that's not there. How it got there all them years ago, I don't know. If we went there tonight, you'd see that exact sign across the street. Technically, it shouldn't even be across the street. So I'd like to legally make the motion to help the people out over there. It's a very narrow, tight street off of Prince Avenue, and it's very difficult to park. And it's tough when you can't get out of your own driveway, and they double park there. So I think that the sign is warranted. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I certainly support this motion. I'm familiar with this street. I grew up right around the corner from there, and it's kind of tucked in the back behind the former Prince Macaroni building. But it seems kind of bizarre to me. I mean, it really is a remote dead-end street location. that maybe something else is going on up there causing all this extra traffic and may warrant, you know, a look into that as well. So certainly, I think we should do what we can to help the speaker tonight, but there may be more to this, and it may be worth a look from someone in inspectional services.
Thank you. Counselor Elliott?
Move approval.
Move approval. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Thank you. Next motion by Counselor Elliott. City Council requests the city auditor to provide a report on the community development block grant funds for the last 5 years. Second by Counselor Caulfield on the motion.
Motion speaks for itself. I know we approved the 5-year plan, or the annual plan of expenditures. I'm not sure if it's the auditor or someone in planning development, but I'd just like to see where the money is spent. I know sometimes projects come through and money is encumbered, but it's not expended, and you know there remains a balance. So that's the motion, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed? It's a vote. Next motion by Counselor Elliott. Motion, City Council requests the city manager to contact National Grid relative to the $50 rebate for old refrigerators disposal for Lowell residents. Seconded by Counselor Murphy. Counselor Elliott.
The motion essentially has been answered. When I picked up the newspaper on Sunday, there was a half-page ad that National Grid put in the paper. So anybody at home that has an old refrigerator, all they have to do is call National Grid, and they get a $50 rebate or $50 check. All they have to do is there's a number to call, and there's no purchase necessary. I thought it was too good to be true, but so far more than 10,000 refrigerators and freezers have been picked up in the state of Massachusetts and Rhode Island. So it is a good program, and I figured it'd be saving on recycling and the cost in the city, or passing it on to homeowners. So that's the motion. But again, it was already in Sunday's newspaper.
Thank you for bringing it forward. Counselor Mercia?
I say there's a deal to be made here. I say that if the city offers this free service of picking up your refrigerator, we can then make $50 on each refrigerator and put it in the general fund. What do you think about that? That's a great idea. We could offer that free service. Don't tell the public. We'll offer the free service, and we'll then sell it to National Grid for $50. Wow.
Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? It's a vote. Thank you. Next motion by Councilor Murphy. City Council requests the city manager develop a project proposal in order to secure funding to address flooding issues under the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program. Seconded by Councilor Caulfield. Councilor Murphy.
Thank you. Last Wednesday, I attended a NEMCOG, North Middlesex Council of Governments meeting, and the Hazard Mitigation Program has gone through its first round of applications, and there's still significant amount of money available for a second round, the deadline being April 2nd. So I was just, making sure that there is at least some, proposals coming forward to be able to mitigate some of the flooding problems that we have throughout the city here.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed? It's a vote. Thank you. Next motion by Councilor Murphy. City Council requests the city manager report on the potential adoption of performance-based budgeting. Seconded by Councilor Mendonça. Councilor Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Performance-based budgeting is essentially, would show the taxpayers, the city council, how money is spent, in not only how money is spent, but what we're receiving from it, in how efficiently it's spent, what the results, what the outputs and outcomes of that money are. And I think it would make a clearer link for the public in terms of accountability and transparency, a clearer link between, how we spend that money and what actually results from that. And so I think that in terms of making cross comparisons between how services are provided and at what cost effectiveness level. And that it would provide another form of analysis that would be important, I think, to help us clarify as a city what our priorities are, what the choices are. That the budget really is about some choices that we have to make. And so I think that in short, this is an important step to making Lowell a more professional city government in improving the way that we provide our services here.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Murphy. The chair recognizes, oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Caulfield before I recognize the manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is this the same budget system they have in Cambridge? Basically?
Yes, and I think Somerville has begun to implement this as well.
Well,
that you have, you not only show, what's being spent in the different departments, but based on the prior budgets that we've had, what's actually been achieved, so that we can look at, whether or not the prior budgets have been effective in achieving the results that we're seeking.
well, I don't want to be negative, and I'll wait and see what the outcome of this motion is, but Cambridge is a very affluent city. They have $30 million in free cash in that vicinity, and we're just trying to keep our head above water. Last year, we had to cut, $3 million because of the 9C cuts. It's not like we have an abundance of money. We're just trying to get along and spend the money wisely. But I'll wait and see the outcome of this motion and what budget proposal you're bringing forward, Mr. Manager.
Okay. Chair recognizes Manager Lunch. Oh, I'm sorry, did Councilor Elliott, I'm sorry, I didn't see the hand up.
I just want to know, last time, Councilor Murphy brought through city stat, and that requires an additional staff person. Who's gonna do this? Are you prepared to do this, Mr. Manager, or Mr. Moses?
What?
Manager Lunch.
I mean, not you personally, Mr. Manager, but I'm gonna presume this is, more work on top of.
If I may.
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Manager.
If I may, I think that I don't anticipate. First off, the motion hasn't passed yet, so I would assume that the motion should pass before I give you answers to some of those questions. But let me just say this: that from my perspective, I think it's a very good motion. I think it's something that the city of Lowell should be moving towards. That I think Councilor Caulfield's comments are right on the money in one respect. That the city of Cambridge, and I apologize for jumping in and saying that they do that, because they are one of the model communities here in the state that does do that, but they're not the only one that does it. Other communities have embarked upon performance-based budgeting. There's a whole standard put out by the Government Finance Officers Association that I've always felt that the city of Lowell should move towards. It puts a lot more information, quite a bit more information, in the hands of the decision makers and in the hands of the public, not only with regards to performance measurement, which is crucial, or performance-based budgeting in terms of the outputs you're receiving, but the GFOA designated budget, the Government Finance Officers Association designated budget, also provides quite a bit more information for people to understand how their government works, how the budget is put together, and what they can expect from their city government. Where I think I wanted to point, comment made of Councilor Caulfield is, I think we have to look at a city like Cambridge and other communities that are doing well, and we shouldn't necessarily say, well, they're doing well, so they can afford to do this. I think what we have to say is, the reason they're doing well is because they do things like this. Similar to other programs that are put in place, it's not it's the reason communities have better bond ratings than the city of Lowell. It's the reason they were able to build up their reserves, because they've put in place financial policies and financial strategies that make them better managed, and therefore they see the results of that. And that's something that I've been striving for since I've been city manager. And I think this is an excellent step in the right direction in terms of how we do our budgeting and how we manage ourselves. I will tell you that I do, it isn't necessarily the only way you do this. City of Cambridge or communities that are not as prosperous as the city of Cambridge that do their budgeting in this manner. But the end result is they're better managed, and there are better decisions that are made as a result of doing things like this. And I don't think it's extremely expensive to do either, I should add.
But it does require additional staff. I mean, somebody has got to be uploading.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
So perhaps you can tell me the difference between adopting city stat model and performance-based budgeting. And if we're going to look at performance-based budgeting, maybe we should take it a step further and go to zero-based budgeting, which during these times may make some sense.
Well,
Mr. Manager.
if I may, and I think we're obviously we're getting into a little bit of debate here, but zero-based budgeting is certainly a theory or a concept that has been used, but it's essentially used, I will tell you, from my perspective, the way we do our budgeting. We go essentially back to zero and build up. That's an internal budget process that's utilized. Performance-based budget, though, that I believe Councilor Murphy is referring to, is a budget document that, the way I heard him describe it, is a budget document that's going to be brought to the City Council. Again, the best example of that is a GFOA formed budget that provides performance data and performance information. Now, absent CityStat was something of that sort, it becomes a little bit more difficult, probably not impossible, but difficult to do it to the fullest extent. But but you don't need to then add additional. I wouldn't think you'd need to take additional staff beyond that to make that possible. I try not to bring up my experiences in Chelmsford, but in Chelmsford we had a GFOA budget we received an award for 7 straight years. I think it was either 5 or 7. And the budget document that still exists to this day has quite a bit more information than we've been able to put forward to the City Council here in the city of Lowell, because we've locked into this line item type budget that is really, very bluntly, an antiquated type of budget system. We should have much more information, much more detail in the budget that has quite a bit more in terms of the organization and what you expect the organization to achieve. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's something that the city should be striving for. And it's something, very frankly, like so many other efforts that we have underway, it's the type of thing that the bond rating agencies really look to see if the city is on the right track in terms of its financial management. And I'm happy to say that they've endorsed the direction we're heading, but this is another step in that process. There's a reason that a Cambridge is a AAA community. There's a reason a Sudbury is a AAA community. There's reasons other communities do very well, and it's because they have the management systems in place. And to have the management systems in place, you need to have the support of the legislative body to have those things happen.
I don't disagree, but sometimes we compare apples to oranges. I mean, some communities don't have the demographics that this city has. Whether it's Cambridge and their multi-million-dollar endowments that they get from the institutions there, or contributions from whether it's Harvard or MIT. I mean, we can't just compare apples, and we have to compare apples to apples. But you're right, we're getting off the subject a little bit. I guess my concern is somebody's going to have to do this work to put the data in to be able to bring it back. And I agree. If our budget is antiquated, do you have any plans to bring in a budget in a different manner? I think we have taken, one step in the past, but as you said, if it's antiquated, I think it's your responsibility to bring it to us in a different manner. And I think if we look at the last motions in the last couple of weeks, that we're moving in that direction. I guess my concern, my concern with this motion is, last time we voted for, to get a report on city stat, the next week there was a new position coming in to support that. What do you foresee? It's just a request, I understand, but the last one was a request as well. And I didn't support the position to go to a public hearing. So if this is going to be another position, or are we just asking for a report and that's going to be it? I mean, either the maker of the motion or you,
Yeah,
Mr. Mayor.
I'll just say, when I first made the motion for the CityStat program, I was very clear during that meeting that it would require some staffing. And Councilor Caulfield had asked, what was the expense? Would we be buying a computer program and that sort of thing? And I was very clear that the biggest expense would be with the staffing. This right here, performance-based budgeting, is really, I'm not understanding this reference to Cambridge as an affluent city. I don't think that has anything to do with it. That this is really about how the budget is presented to us, not only to us, but to the public, so that you have more information, so that we as a body have more information to be able to make better decisions, so that the public can hold us more accountable for what our choices actually result in. I think this is about really reflecting upon what we do in prior years so that we're not making the same mistakes. I'm not saying that we won't make mistakes in the future, but we ought not to be making the same mistakes over and over again. And this is what it is really about, that we have to look at, how we're providing services and what's resulting from the money that we spend, the choices that we make.
Thank you.
I understand your point, and my reference to Cambridge was, I'm just going to presume that their staff in their finance office is much larger than the staff that this city manager has. And I just don't think we have the resources to dedicate to provide an extra layer of information, data input, budget analysis that other communities do. I don't disagree that we should be looking at these things. However, we have to be reasonable and practical and not place unreasonable expectations on the manager's office that already has so many other issues to deal with. That was my only point. Thank you, Mayor.
Before I recognize the manager, I'd like to recognize the other councils that have had their hands up, beginning with Councilor Mendonça, Councilor Broderick, I believe Councilor Martin, and Councilor Caulfield. Councilor Mendonça.
Okay, thank you. Quite a discussion. I did appreciate the points that the manager's already made, and I'd like to have more transparent, easier to understand budgeting, so we understand where the monies are coming from and how we're spending them and what efficiencies we can achieve with them. Having said that, I mean, I'd like to see samples of the budget so that we can, each counselor, determine if it seems like a better form or if it's easier to understand or vice versa. And so I'm hoping that if this motion passes, that the report of the manager will be in the form of a subcommittee meeting of the Finance Subcommittee to receive some of this information and be able to have that discussion in less formal setting, and then see, by having those samples, how it compares to our existing budget and whether it does clarify things or does provide more information to us. Because if it does, I certainly would support it.
Thank you. Councilor Broderick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree essentially with what Councilor Mendonça said. I think we need to get the report, first of all, and in that report, I would like to see samples of, you mentioned Chelmsford and Cambridge. It doesn't matter to me which towns or cities you pick, but maybe a couple, 2 or 3 samples, and we can compare it to Lowell's and see what the difference is, what information we get in that. And it makes sense to me that if there are tools out there that are going to give us more information to make our decisions, I would say that we would be silly not to adopt that. As far as taking on more expenses, we still haven't gone forward on the CitySat the motion to bring someone on. I think that's on for next week. But I would assume that would be part of the report the manager would give us in terms of what additional costs, if any, there is in the budget preparation process. If we are going to move forward with the other performance measurement system, it would make sense that we use that system to its fullest extent and incorporate it into our budget process. Aside from the people at home getting more information, we sit here and take votes on our budget and on how we're going to spend money and where we're going to spend money. And I think that if we can get more information readily, that it's incumbent upon us to do so. And I look forward to the report. I think we need to find out the questions to these answers. I understand the concerns, but I think we need to get this information before we to jump to any conclusions. I don't think it matters if Cambridge has it or Sudbury or any of the other cities or towns. I think it's a matter of what we can do with it. And we're not going to beat Cambridge, and we're not looking to. I don't think anybody sitting here is saying we will if we adopt this or that or any particular program. But I think it's a matter of maximizing and capitalizing on what we can get out of this or any other efficiency. I mean, we're in a process here of government in general, but our city government of trying to do more with less and finding ways of getting things done and giving taxpayers the biggest bang for the buck. And any tool we can use to make those decisions and measure performance and get the job done and deliver the services. This is about delivering services. It's not about an employment service or anything else. I think we have to figure out how we can deliver these services. If this is going to help us, then I think it's incumbent upon us to do so. But I look forward to the report. I think it's a good motion, and I think we can find out more information.
Okay, thank you, Councilor. Councilor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I support the motion. As I read it, at least on my agenda, it requests the manager to report on the potential for adopting performance-based budgeting. I wasn't aware until this evening that there even was a Financial Managers Association preferred form of this. But I think that is something that would be helpful for the council to see. Councilman Donson mentioned it, some others have too. I'd be very interested to see if there's a form that's preferred by bond rating agencies that's different somehow or better than what we use now. And as to the issues, whether the manager can do this with existing staff, I think that's what the motion calls for. It calls for a report from the manager. What would this mean? What would this budget look like? And can you do it? And the potential of savings that may be achieved in right away over the long term. So I think it's incumbent on us. We're always, especially now in this environment, told we're going to have less resources, we have to do more with less, yet there's a resistance to do things differently than we've always done them. Well, if we're going to do more with less, that means sometimes we have to do things differently. And to me, this vote tonight is not even adopting doing anything differently. It's just to investigate the feasibility of that and what that might mean and what a different budget might look like. So I think it's almost a duty that at least I feel I have to find out some more about this. So I certainly support this motion.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Caulfield?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Report on the potential. That's a big question. 50% of our budget comes from local aid. We all know that. I hope we know that. 50%. 83% of our budget is personnel. And if this is such a great way to do the budget, Mayor Willie Lentigo of Lawrence should jump all over this. They're financial destitute. So I'm going to wait and see see where this goes. But I just want to repeat, I don't want to be redundant, Mr. Mayor. Cambridge, Newton, Wellesley, Brookline, Milton are very affluent communities. New Bedford, Holyoke, Lawrence, all those other urban communities, I don't think they have this type of a budget system. And maybe we should find out from Manager Healy of Cambridge, what's his secret? His pay, his salary is astonishing. The councilors make $80,000 a year. The mayor has a car. When I was a freshman councilor, I traveled to Washington on my dime to attend a conference on drug abuse with Congressman Ringel, Senator Kerry, and others. And I met a gentleman in the lobby that night. I said, "Where are you from?" "Cambridge." I said, "Oh, did you come down alone?" He says, "No, we all came down." Very affluent community. All those councils went to Washington, D.C. on the taxpayer's dime. We don't do that. We can't afford to do that. And Councilor Murphy, I just want to rebut the mistakes you've made in the past. What mistakes have we made in the past?
We really can't get into a debate, Councilor Coffey. I understand.
I think we work very hard, Mr. Mayor, to make sure every dime is spent perfectly and well. With the school system, services in the city, and so forth. We're struggling. Like every urban community, we are struggling.
Point taken. Before we take a vote, the manager's asked to be recognized.
Just one more point. And just to be clear, this isn't something that is reserved to affluent communities. In fact, the city of Lawrence no longer does it. But they used to do a GFOA formed budget back when, and they moved away from that and moved to a system more like the line item system that we use here. And so all I'm saying is that I think that Councilor Murphy's motion is one I look forward to responding to, because it is consistent with the direction I think we should be heading. But the notion that somehow this is something that only wealthy communities do, I go back to the notion that, maybe there's a reason they're in better financial shape, but also it isn't something that's just reserved to wealthy communities. As I say, Lawrence used to do it. Chelsea did it when they were in far worse shape. It's something that Springfield has done of late, moving to something that provides quite a bit more information in a different format, and I look forward to getting you a response on that.
Councilor Elliott.
Is there any reason why we haven't done this, Mr. Manager, yet, up to this point? Why you haven't brought this performance-based in?
We've tried the last, very bluntly, if you look at the budgets that were presented prior to my coming on as city manager, or you look at the budgets that I've presented since I've been city manager, they do have more in the way of information that's in the narrative that starts it. There's much more in the way of utilizing peer communities as a way of analyzing how we're doing. There's much more in the way of graphs that can easily display how we're using our resources. It has been something I wanted to move into sooner, but very bluntly, I didn't feel like there was necessarily the legislative support for heading in that direction. And hopefully when I bring this forward, just as an example, we have moved the city budget from being into, you'll note that when we give you the city budget now, we basically give you three versions, if you will. There's the version you vote, which is summarized into each department and by function. There's a detailed budget that is broken out by function, and that's a key part of the GFOA system, because it ties in with the uniform municipal accounting system that we use in the auditor's office. You break your budgeting down by function, and so you get those, and then we give you the budget in alphabetical order, which seems to be until now has been the preferred way of receiving the budget. So it really should be done by function. It should be done in summary form, and it should have information with it if we want it to be something that I believe to be more useful to the city in terms of the city council, but also the citizens.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Murphy?
All I was referring to in terms of mistakes is that we're not perfect as a city government.
We're not going to get into a debate. I didn't let Councilor Caulfield go that way, and I can't let you.
All I'm saying is that we have made mistakes in inspectional services. We've made mistakes in other areas. And this is an attempt to look at those problems and make changes.
Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please signify. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor
Just the
Mercer.
last word and most important about the budget is to number the pages, right?
All right, number the pages.
That's a key part, too, of the...
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed? The vote. The chair recognizes Councilor Broderick, if I could first.
No, Mr. Mayor, just back on this
sorry.
issue.
Yeah.
The manager's going to bring forward
Report
a report and a
on the
draft.
potential, not even the draft, on the potential, report on the potential,
fine.
correct, as the motion's worded. Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilor Broderick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If the council would indulge me to suspend the rules for the purpose of bringing forward a motion someone had sent to Councilor Dakota, who, as we all know, can't be here this evening, regarding the potential of putting a cell tower over in Duck Island. So if we could suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend the rules by Councilor Martin, seconded by Councilor Caulfield. All those in favor of suspension signify by saying aye. Opposed? To vote. Councilor Broderick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Basically, the motion is get a report from the city manager on the feasibility or the potential of locating a cell tower over where Duck Island is city-owned property, my understanding, and there's been some discussion or some debate with, as everybody probably knows, with the ZBA relative to putting a cell tower over on Andover Street on the church in the neighborhood, and lately there's been discussion that this Duck Island may be more appropriate in the zoning, and I think it's industrial, and it may serve the purpose of filling the void on Andover Street and wherever they claim, where the alleged dead spots are. So that's the intent of the motion, and I'm bringing that forward on behalf of Councilor
Motion by
Dakota.
Councilor Broderick. Do I have a second? Second by Councilor Caulfield. I'm sorry, Mr. Manager.
Just in response to that, Councilor, we did, I know that was something that's been talked about even at the ZBA last night. Interestingly enough, we received a request from a cell phone, a cell antenna company that has been, to the wastewater, that has been sent out to law as well as purchasing to get an RFP out on the street that I was planning to bring forward to the council at some point in the future. Obviously, a vote from the council to support that notion would be helpful to us and expedite that process.
Yeah, thank you. That would be great. I think we get the win-win of pulling it out of the residential neighborhood and picking up the income over there.
Mm-hmm. Councilor Elliott.
What will that require, Mr. Manager, while we're on that subject, the cell tower at Duck Island, that it's like a 100-foot tower or something along those, or is it?
I wouldn't, I'm not sure how tall those towers are. I wouldn't think it would necessarily be 100, but we can get.
So the intent of the RFP is to solicit, of course, give everybody an opportunity to.
That's right.
To do that if we're interested. Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion? The chair would like to be recorded as present, only because I am in a butter with the issue that is currently before the zoning board, where this idea of going to Duck Island actually came out of some discussion. So I don't know if we need to have a roll call vote, but I'd like to be recorded. City Solicitor O'Connor?
Just to add on to the question raised by Councilor Elliott, the one aspect of the height is something that hopefully is going to get addressed in the upcoming week or so, and working with the manager's office, we'll be putting together some sort of a license agreement so that they can enter onto the property, do some trial tests, and at that point, the engineers will be able to determine exactly how high a tower type of device would be required in order to have adequate cell coverage. So all of that is being looked at, and I suspect it's going to be moving along pretty quickly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed? It's a vote. I'd like to be recorded as present. Councilor Elliott.
Mayor, I just want to ask for suspension of the rules and have the manager report on a swift action that his office and the solicitor's office took in regards to the Pawtucket Falls and our corporation essentially violating the Wang agreement and the residents.
We're actually
Pawtucket
still under suspension, so this would be appropriate
Okay.
to bring up
That's the
for
intent of
discussion.
the request for suspension, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, councilors, we were notified about a little over about a week and a half ago, I guess it was now, that they were planning on moving forward to reinstall the flashboards at the dam. We communicated or attempted to communicate, it was on the Friday before the holiday, we attempted to communicate with Enel as to what their plans were. We learned midweek, thereabouts, Thursday, I believe, that they were planning on installing what's being characterized as 5-foot boards. They're actually 4 plus 1, but the 1 is connected to the 4. And they moved forward to install those. We voiced our opposition to them, communicated that, and we actually went into court on Friday seeking injunctive relief. So at this point, we are awaiting a hearing, and we anticipate that will be coming up in the next week or two. And then we also, I will say that I've also been in touch with representatives of Enel, and we're going to also be meeting with them to try to remedy this situation. We'll be finding out what FERC's role and position is on this as well, because they, the argument that we're hearing is that that's what the license calls for and that's what it has to be. But so we're still in sort of a discovery phase on some of this, but we have gone into court and sought legal action to have those boards changed.
Well, I can say, Mr. Manager, on behalf of the people that live in the flood zone and knowing that we're about to go into the spring flooding season, they appreciate your swift action, and we'll probably call a meeting once you meet with flood, with Enel and update the flood group. Naturally, again, they're anxious because we're about to go into the season. There's that extra foot of the flashboards that'll hold it back that much water. So thank you for the update and appreciate it.
Thank you. Councilor Caulfield?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As long as we're on the suspension of the rules,
Yes.
Monday, a good friend of mine at the gym brought this to my attention, and it makes so much sense. He told me he walked from Cobblestones down to the auditorium to go to the Golden Gloves. And on his way down to the auditorium, he said, you can't believe how many no parking signs, loading zone, that there are. And who delivers anything after 6 o'clock at night? And I just asked the manager if you can just take a survey to find out how many businesses receive anything delivered to them. And those parking spots are there, but no one can use them. And the restaurants are certainly hurting because of that. So maybe if you could just take a look, Mr. Manager, and take a survey, and there should be a time, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. or whatever, and people don't park because they're afraid they're going to get a ticket. And there's nobody delivering packages at 8:30 at night. So.
Okay. No, good point. Motion by Councilor Caulfield, seconded by Councilor Martin, to ask the city manager for a report on the issue regarding loading zones after hours. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Anything else to come before the council? Motion to adjourn by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Mendonça. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. Good meeting. Thank you.